Hi everyone! So this is the So Many Gifts collection. It includes 8 small and easy to sew projects that are just perfect for gifting or selling. So if you have a birthday coming up or Christmas, you don't have a gift, you can make some small items just in a very quick way. Or if you do have markets coming up, you can sew like a lot from scraps, and I suggest you to print out the project overview list right here. The Boxy pouch does have a PDF pattern. The rest of the projects are just measure and cut projects, so they're not for printout. This collection includes some bookmarks. They are perfect scrap buster because they only need like very little fabric and they're sewn very quickly. I've also added the instruction on how to sew a tote bag for shopping, and it does not have any lining, so it's with French seams, and you can adjust the sizes to whatever size you would like. This one was a bit too wide for me, so I've made this a bit more slimmer. This was a small version. I've also attached on how to make some scrunchies. Scrunchies are quite trendy right now, so especially for markets, if you have like a basket with small items, you can make some regular scrunchies or like this, a jumbo scrunchie. And I'm sure your customers are gonna love this just to shop around at your market stand. Is that how you say that in English? This is some wristlets and keychains made from fabric, from scraps as well. So I will show you how to do this with some swivel clasps and rivets. But another great way on how to make keychains are these keychain fobs. They're quite popular in my handmade shop, and I'm sure your customers gonna love them too, or your family if you want to gift them. So this is made from 2 different fabrics with a contrast strip on top, but you could also do this from one type of fabric like that. So if you never tried using these key fobs, they're really easy to make. A small pencil pouch always comes in handy. Who doesn't love pouches? So we have 3 different pouches in this project. This is the pencil pouch. The smallest version is perfect for pens, but also for cosmetics. And the boxy pouch right here is my favorite. It's very, very cute, and it's a bit more advanced since it comes with binding, but I've also added the link for the binding tutorial, so if you need to try and learn more about this, you can watch the video for it. I make one with the clear top as well, and it's like so cute if you want to gift something that fits in there. It's a great display on your gifts, so you should try. And the final project is a drawstring pouch. It's usually like a classical drawstring pouch, but I've attached like a nice satin band with box corners and tied some bows on the side, and it's just really cute. I mean, you're supposed to tie a knot to not lose the band, but if it's just for a gift, it's also a really cute way on how to do this. So it's up to you. You can tie a knot or attach a stopper if you don't want to have the risk of losing the band inside. But I think these are great projects to make for you. So let's start with our first project, the bookmarks. So the bookmarks are probably the most easy thing to make. We need 3 pieces of fabrics, and I've used some Decophyllite on the back and on the corner out of the seam allowance. And the corner, you just need to cut the piece diagonally. I don't know how to say this in English. And the front, I did not use any interfacing to. So this is the front, it's just a regular cotton, and this is the canvas fabric. You fold it in half and place it, both being right side up, and then you take the back and put it on top, right sides together. So use some clips to secure the edges and sew the edges together with the 1 centimeter 3/8 inch seam allowance, but leave an opening. The important thing is leave the opening where's not the corner. So on the edges without the corner, you leave an opening as big as possible, and then you just have to trim the corners and use some pinking shears because it's easier to turn right side out. if you have trimmed the seam allowance. And I like to take my pinking shears for that. So when you turn the piece, it might be hard because I've used Decofill Light, but I want this to be stiff and hard. If you wanted to use some other fabric interfacing, you could, but this is just my personal preference, what I like most. So yeah, it's up to you. Whatever you have on hand, just for the first one, just try and see, because you cannot feel and touch this here in the video, and see what you like most. So take a tool to pinch out the corners and then give it a press and fold the seam allowance inwards and press it so it's like not gonna be visible later. And then all you have to do is just top stitch around, and then your bookmark is done. And you see how fast that was, right? So this is the most easy project in this collection, but there are more easy ones, so don't worry about the skill level set for this collection. So let's try to use it. I just have a book here, and this is how you use it. You just place it on the corner, and then you can easily find your section where you want to continue your book. Now we're gonna make a tote with French seams. So the good thing about this is that you don't see any seams on the inside, and you don't need a lining fabric. So we will need some fabrics for the straps, and we need fabrics for front and back, and we will start with the straps. So you can mark the center. I just simply fold it with my fingers, press it, and then fold the raw edges towards the center and fold together again and give it a press. And the fabrics I suggest you to use for this are just cotton fabrics, non-stretchy fabrics, like canvas, cotton, waterproof canvas, oilskin maybe. You could also replace the straps by some webbing, but they're made quick and easy. So next up, you take your front and your back fabric and you place them wrong sides together. Exactly, wrong sides together, and sew the edges with a very small seam allowance. And when you've done this, it's a 0.5 centimeter and 1/8 inch in inches. And the reason for the small seam allowance is we're gonna turn this out and sew again, so all the seams should be hidden in the next seam, so that's why they're so small. And I suggest you to press the seams open with an iron, because then you get to turn it very easy and catch the seams very easy. You just fold the corners like that, so it's better to turn, and then you turn it wrong side out. I know it might be confusing because it's the other way around than we would usually do it, but trust the process. This is correct. And make sure you formed out everything nicely so nothing gets like stuck in your seams later on. So when you've turned your tote, we will sew the same seams, the sides and the bottom edges, but this time with the 1 centimeter 3/8 inch seam allowance. This is what it looks like. And now we will make some markings on how to attach or where to attach our straps. So take a ruler and measure the top 5 centimeters, which is 2 in inches, and a second line, which is 7.5 centimeters from the top. Or 3 inches from the top. So they're 2.5 centimeters from one line to the other, which is 1 inch, I think. Yeah, 1 inch. And then you take the measurements from the side depending on which version you are making. If you're making like a medium version, I suggest 12 centimeters. If you're making the small tiny version, 5 centimeters from the side. It's just up to you, but you need to decide where on your bag you would like to place your straps. So then you take your straps that you've sewn before, Make sure they are not twisted and place them on the top line, aligning like this, and on the side line. See, and I've already folded down the top. You fold the top to the first and then over again to the second line that you've drawn, and your strap will be folded. It will be inside the fold and secured with some clips or even some pins and needles. And when you sew them, you have to fold them up again because we want our straps to go upwards, right? So make sure they're straight and repeat the same process for the other side as well to attach the second strap. Align it to the 5 centimeter line and hide it in the fold, and then make sure the strap is not twisted. It's like a double fold. The top edge is a double fold to line 1 and then to line 2, and then you fold up the strap again and attach clips and pins and secure everything. And then we will just stitch 2 rounds, one on the bottom of the fold and one on the top of the fold. So we have 2 rounds to stitch now. So I will start with the top stitching, the top edge. I will just go around, make sure the strap is straight. Honestly, it's just really easy and quick to make. When you have finished your round, don't forget to lock your stitch, and then just take your needle to the second line down, and you can feel where the edge is because we want to catch everything in our seam, and then we will sew like 2.5 centimeters, 1 inch below, or a little bit less because we do want to catch the border of the seam, so you feel where it is. And then remember, you have a look at your plate where to line it, and then sew a second round. And don't forget to bring up your strap. The strap should be up because it's attached already in round number 1. And then go around the whole piece, sewing the second fold, the folded edge, securing this edge on your tote.
To give more stability to your straps, we will sew some X boxes on each strap just to be safe, because this bag is supposed to be like for grocery shopping and maybe heavy things or books. So we have to sew 4 X boxes on each strap. Here you can see the X boxes I've made. I've sewn them on every strap end, and then you can turn your tote right side out and have a look at it, and maybe trim off some threads that are sticking out, and then you're done. So it's a very easy and quick way. You just need a bit more fabric. It's just not made from just fabric scraps, and it looks nice from the inside as well, even though you didn't have a lining inside. To make a scrunchie, you just need a piece of fabric, and you align the short ends together, right sides together, and sew it with a 1 centimeter seam allowance 3/8 inch, just like that. And then you place it in front of you and finger press or press it with an iron, the seam open, and then fold the top towards the middle. It doesn't have to be accurate, it just has to be out of the way so you can align the edges from the lower fabric. And then we take it to a sewing machine and I will show you how to sew this really quick. So just start anywhere in the center and make sure you're just sewing through these 2 layers of fabric with the 1 centimeter 3/8 inch seam allowance. And when you get to the end, you just pull on the fabric that you can continue sewing your round. The only thing that you have to take care of is only sew these 2 layers and squeeze the fabric on the inside out of the way so you're not sewing through this, and then just continue your round until you get to the point where you started, but you have to leave a small opening to turn your scrunchie right side out. So don't finish the round completely, just leave a gap of maybe 5 centimeters, 2 inches, just so that you can put your fingers through it to turn the scrunchie right side out. Open up the seam allowance right here so it's nice and flat. I'm sorry for all the disturbance like in the picture. I've said it before, I need to replace my camera because I've dropped it. It's also why the sound of from the camera is muted, because it makes like funny noises. But I think in the future I will record this with my cell phone because it makes nicer pictures anyways. Okay, so continue your round. You keep pulling the fabric towards you, just sewing through those 2 layers of fabric until you get to the beginning right here. So we need to leave a hole. So I will stop here and just lock my seam. And then I will cut off any extra thread hanging out there because this cotton is fraying a lot. So you just cut it off and then turn your scrunchie right side out. And I make this a bit quicker. And next up, you will need an elastic strap, a piece of elastic. So you would need a safety pin and your band. If you don't want to leave it on there, I leave it on there because I don't have to worry about this elastic sliding in, so I just leave it on there. But you can also cut this for 15 centimeters if you're insecure about the length, but then you have to watch out that you are not pulling the end inside of the scrunchie. So I made this a lot quicker. Don't worry, this is not the normal speed because it takes a while. You put the safety pin in the hole and pass it around and exit in the same hole that you entered. And then pull on the elastic until you have the desired length, like how you want your scrunchie to be. Or you can put it on your wrist as well and see if it fits comfortably on your wrist and leave it a little bit longer. And then you can either tie a knot or you can sew the 2 pieces together like this. But I'm lazy. I just tie a knot and then I will close the opening and then the scrunchie is done. So this is like a really quick thing to make. And if you do have markets, you can just have like a basket on your market, on your table with like scrunchies where you use up all of your spare fabric. Especially kids love to have scrunchies. And it's just a nice idea. You can experiment with the fabric sizes. If you want to make a jumbo scrunchie, you can make this wider. Try 15 centimeters and fold the seam allowance inwards and just top stitch. because of the way the scrunchie is laying, you won't really notice. So I hope you like this idea and try this for a small and quick project. Now we will make a wristlet band from one type of fabric if you use a swivel clasps. So whatever size of swivel clasp you use, it has to be 4 times the width of your swivel clasps. And then you mark the center and fold the raw edges to the center and fold over again, so you have 4 layers of fabric. And then you thread your swivel clasp on your fabric, open up the fabric again and align the short ends right sides together. And sew with 1 centimeter seam allowance, 3/8 inch with the swivel clasp attached. Then you open up the seam allowance like this and fold it back in place like it was before. So it's really necessary to press to iron your fabric so it will easily go back into shape like this. And then we will take this to the sewing machine and just top stitch on both ends together. You could also put in a piece of Vigofill like I do. So Vigofill is just for upholstery. It makes the fabric more stiff and sturdy. And I like this for this straps because the cotton will get really soft and it has more grip and it stays nice more longer. So just put this in between. And the Vigofill strap is as wide as the final strap. It's going to be maybe slightly smaller so you can fit it in there easily. And it takes a bit of patience if you want to put this inside. But if you don't have Vigofill, you could also use like maybe Decofill, the hard version, or Decofill Light without fusing. So just as an inlay, or yeah, there are more ways, more things you could put in there, whatever you have at hand. A strip will help for the grip and the strength of your wristlet. So when it's inside, take some clips to keep everything in place and then take it to your sewing machine and top stitch the 2 edges. The swivel clasp might be in the way, so I usually start like at a point right behind before the clasp, so I can sew almost a full round. And I like to start where the seam is from the first seam that we made, because I will put this at the back of my strap. So but you'll make a round, so you won't really notice where you just see where you've locked your stitches in the end. And when you get to the swivel clasp, you simply just put it back so it's not in the way of your stitching. See, now we're at the clasp, so you just pull it back and keep on stitching. Lock your stitch at the end of the round and then top stitch the other edge. And again, I will start where the seam is, a little bit before the seam. I'm so sorry, I don't know why my camera just blurred. I guess it's just broken. It's too bad, but I'm sure you know what I'm doing right here. If I would have noticed this while I was taping it, I would surely re-record it, but now it's too late. I'm sorry. So then you cut off any extra, all the threads hanging out, and then you will find the perfect space for you to fold the strap, deciding what should be the front and what should be the back. And then I will insert, see, there's the seam, so I will put the seam to the back like this, and then I will attach a rivet. See, now I'm changing my mind, what is front, what is back. And then I will take a rivet and insert a rivet like maybe 1 centimeter 1.5 centimeters below. Just make sure that it's not through the seam, just a little bit below or above the seam, where your fold is. If you don't have rivets, you could also just make some stitches with your sewing machine right there, or maybe sew a small X box. If you don't have a rivet is just quicker and it looks nice, and this is my preferred way, but just do whatever you prefer. And then your wristlet strap is done. So if you have some swivel clasp left over, this is a nice way of sewing something small. Now we will use the keychain fobs. And again, we start with one fabric and we will fold it the same way that we did with our other wristlet. We fold it towards the middle, fold over again and press. But this time we won't align the short ends. We will just top stitch your strap like that. But as you know me, I like to insert my Vigo-fill piece. It's like a little bit smaller than the final size of the strap. So my strap, I have key fobs that are 2.5 centimeters wide. So my fabric piece needs to be 4 times as wide as the fob. So it's 10 centimeters times 30. I think 30 is a nice size to have it around your wrist. So you could always adjust the length of the strap to whatever you like. So I put the Vigo-fill in there and then I will just top stitch my strap like that. So the Vigo-fill is on right where the front is. And then I will put the short ends together and stitch them together. And it's important for you to stitch them together because if you don't and you just put the fob on there, it might slip out. So just be aware your stitching should be not too wide because it should be covered by the fob. So here you see where I've stitched it together and I trim off this for a clean edge and I can insert the strap into my key fob. Decide this is the back side and this is the front because the prongs just go through the back and the front does not have any prongs. So this is why you need to sew them together, otherwise you can pull this out easily. So my pliers that I have, they are covered with silicone. That's very handy. And if you don't have these type of pliers, use a towel or something to not scratch up your key fob. Because if you just use your regular pliers, then it will scratch up the fob and it looks not nice. So here you can pull on it just because we've stitched this together. So now we will make one from 2 different types of fabric. We have a bottom fabric and a top fabric, which is the contrast. So the key fob is 2.5 centimeters wide, 1 inch. So it needs to be double the size of the key fob now, not 4 times, twice the size of the key fob. And we will shorten the contrast strap by 1 centimeter by 3/8 inch, just because we want the edges to stick out from the bottom to be visible. The bottom fabric should be visible, so it needs to be less wide than the top fabric. So again, we will mark the center and fold the raw edges towards the center and press it. On the cotton piece, it's no problem. On my fall leather piece, it's a problem because I don't want to iron it. And I put my Vigo-fill in there again, just right into my front piece. You can replace this with Deco-fill or Deco-fill-lite, whatever you have to give it more strength, and it will just look nicer for a longer time if it has like an inlay. So here I will mark the center and fold the raw edges towards the center as well. But since I cannot iron it, I will just use clips to secure it. You could also use some double-sided tape to keep this in place. I don't like double-sided tape because it gums up my needle every time. And then I just gave up because you should not sew through it. And yeah, it's not working for me as much, but I know a lot of sewists, they use double-sided tape. So if you feel comfortable with using it, just do it. So when we have everything aligned to the center, we will just simply
put our cotton strap, our top strap, on the top of the bottom one, and you have the raw edges on top of each other, so you won't see them from any side. They're in the middle. So take it, place it on there and center it, and I just put them into my clips like that, and I eyeball it. I don't measure anything. I just see how it looks nicely, and if it's centered, that on each side you have the same amount sticking out of from the bottom, I am fine. And then you top stitch. And the good thing about this, you only have one seam on each side, and I like the look a lot better than just top stitching the bottom and then top stitching the top on it. And then you just align the short ends and sew the top together. Again, make sure that your stitches are not wider than your fob. And you need to sew them together because otherwise you can pull this out of the fob too easy. So I trim off the beginning just for a clean edge. I take my nice handy pliers with the silicone covers. I insert the fob into my pliers, decide what is front, what is back, because where the prongs are, this will be the back. I insert it and push it down. And again, if you don't sew the straps together, the prongs will just go through the back of your strap and not the front. And if you pull on it heavily, the front piece will slide out. I've had to make that experience myself. And yeah, this is like a thing that a lot of customers shop. So you should make these for your markets. They're very popular. Right here, we will make a pencil pouch. I think this is the medium-sized pouch. You need 2 lining pieces, 2 main pieces, and I've chosen some Decofill Light out of the seam allowance for my main fabric. We do need a zipper that has the same length as the top edge of your fabrics and a zipper pull, of course. So I've used on the Decofill, and I will first thread my zipper pull on my zipper. Take your main fabric piece and put the zipper band right sides together on your main fabric, and then put the lining piece on top, right side down. So the zipper is sandwiched between the 2 fabric pieces. And then you will sew this edge with a 7 millimeter 1/4 inch seam allowance. So now we will just fold down the main fabric and top stitch through main fabric and not through the lining piece. The lining piece is up. You just top stitch like that, and then you will fold down the lining piece and give it a press. And now you have to repeat this with the second part, the other edge of the zipper, right sides together with the main fabric, lining piece on top, and sew the top edge with 7 millimeter 1/4 inch seam allowance, and top stitch just through the main fabric and give the lining fabric a press. Then you can trim off any extra zipper tape. I always use a larger size zipper than I need and trim it off. And now you will align the top edge from the main fabrics that are they just have to be perfectly aligned. And you put the lining fabrics right sides together, the main fabrics right sides together, and then sew all the edges together with a 1 centimeter seam allowance, 3/8 inch, but leave an opening in the lining piece on the bottom, on the lining pieces, to turn the pouch right side out. So when you've sewn this together, we will make the boxed corners. So you could also trim the corners off. I didn't here, I don't know why. You can trim them off, maybe that's easier. Then open up the seams, so this is the lining part, and fold a triangle and make sure that the bottom seam and the side seam are on top of each other so that your box will be straight. There's another way to check if your box is straight, because you would have to measure a line 2 centimeters from the center. And if you draw a straight line and you have more centimeters or millimeters on one side, then it's not straight. So it should be the same distance from each corner. And you will repeat this on every corner, on both 4 corners. Open up seam allowance, measure 2 centimeters from each, from the center, from the seam. See, here I trimmed it off. I don't know why I didn't do it on the lining. And yeah, open up the seam allowance, put them on top of each other, and draw the line. So it's 2 centimeters, 1/4 in inches. And we will sew this line that we just drew on our boxes, on our corners. 2 centimeters, 2 centimeters. And now sew. Now we can trim off the corners. We just leave a small seam allowance, maybe like 5 millimeters or a little bit more than 1/8 inch. So we can turn this easily. So when you trim this off, you can turn your pouch through the hole in the lining fabric, and then take a tool to poke out the corners. And yes, use a tool, or I like to use a chopstick for that, or my finger, sometimes that's enough. And then you fold the seam allowance from the opening inwards and simply top stitch. If you're not as lazy as me, you could also do a ladder stitch so it won't be visible. And there you go. Now your pouch is done. You just need to put the lining into the pouch, and then it's done. That's a quick and nice project, and I think everybody needs pouches. I could have like 100 pouches for everything to organize. So there you see the 2 sizes right next to each other. This is the small one. We just saw the medium one. The small one is perfect for markers, pens, things like that. I hope you like this tutorial. The boxy pouch is a bit more advanced since it has binding, but together we can do this. So you need to cut out all your PDF pattern pieces and fuse them with Decofill Light. You could also use some Pellon Thermolam for the top, front and back if you like, but it's not a must. So we will start with the front and back piece. You just put the main and the lining fabric wrong sides together and baste it together. And then we will put this aside to make the gusset. We will start with the zipper. So take the zipper piece and insert your zipper pull thread on your zipper pull. The zipper tape is as long as the pattern piece, like this piece right here. And place these right sides together and put the lining on top and sew with a 7 millimeter seam allowance, 1/4 inch. And then fold the fabrics away from the zipper and top stitch. My zipper is always a bit longer, and then I trim it off at the end. I'm just more secure like that, but it's up to you. If you don't want to be like wasteful or something, you can cut this shorter, of course. Then repeat this with the other edge, right sides together, but make sure it's centered, and yeah, like that, and top stitch. And then I trim off any extra zipper tape. And now we will make the tabs. They are just nice for if you pull on the zipper. So fold the edges to the center and top stitch, and then align the short ends of each tab and place them. You can sew them together before if you like. I just do this on my sewing machine in one step. Place it on the zipper and baste it on there. And now we will attach the bottom piece. The main fabrics go right sides together and the lining pieces go right sides together. And we will sew the short edges here with 1 centimeter seam allowance. I made extra stitches for the top. And I repeat this now on the second side, on the other side, 1 centimeter seam allowance. And then you can turn your gusset right side out. When you know me, my patterns, I do like to attach my bias tape to the gusset before. Oh, top stitch, I'm sorry. Top stitch the short ends and then baste together the fabrics. And what I do, I will attach my bias tape to the gusset in one step. So I've top stitched first. You have to do this first. And then I will attach my bias to both edges of the gusset. You can also watch the binding tutorial. You'll see detailed instructions on how I do this. If not, if you don't want to attach it now, you should definitely baste the fabrics together so everything stays in place. And now we have to mark all the centers. The centers on our gusset on both sides and the center on our front and back. Top and bottom centers. To attach the gusset to the front or the back, you simply open up the zipper, decide what is front and back and what is top and bottom, and then align the top centers, right sides together, right here, right sides together, top center first, then the bottom center, and then I make small snips in the gusset piece where it's above the curves. So if you make snips, be careful to make them just so small that they will be hidden. They will be within seam allowance. Do not make them too long. We don't want to hurt our fabrics where they're not inside the seams. And then I work myself down from the top to the bottom on the right side first. And then on the other side, I work myself down from top to bottom and secure everything with clips. When you arranged your pieces together and they fit perfectly, you can take it to your sewing machine, and I really suggest you to baste first and then sew with the correct seam allowance of 7 millimeters, 1/4 inch seam allowance. So right here you see the basting stitch and the correct seam allowance stitch. Since we've attached our bias tape, we can simply just pull this up, fold it towards the open edge, fold over again and close our bias like that. So when you get to the part where the beginning and the end is meeting, make sure that the bottom piece is hidden underneath the top piece. This piece was resisting a little bit, but I've managed to fold it underneath there nicely. And now you can simply top stitch. Looks good. Now we attach the other piece in the same way, exactly the same way. Start from the top to the bottom, make small snips in the curvy section of the gusset piece, baste first. I know it's annoying, but it's just a tip. I mean, it's your project. You do whatever you like, right? But yeah, basting together first makes this a lot easier, and it maybe takes like 5 more minutes, 2 more minutes. Yes, it's just what I do. I hurt myself there. I'm sorry, it's so ugly. You see my finger. I burned myself with hot oil and it was really painful, and I'm hoping this won't leave a scar. Now, since we're done, we just attach it, baste it, sew it with the correct seam allowance in the second round, and then we can close our bias tape. This is so cute. I really like this pouch. It's like a different twist on a pouch because like everybody's sewing the same pouches every time, and I just think it's just a very cute shape. I do hope you like this project too. So turn it right side out and form out all the curves and edges. Maybe give it another press if you can. It depends on what type of fabric you use. And then enjoy your pouch. I guess this will be a good seller and also a nice present for your loved ones. A drawstring pouch is a very cute gift, especially for Christmas. We need a main fabric, a lining fabric, and we need 2 bands or cords, whatever you like. So take the fabric pieces and fold the short ends together. The fabrics are right sides together, your main fabric and your lining fabric. And the lining needs to be sewn with an opening on the side, and the main fabric I will show you to make some markings where the cord is going to be. So we will make a marking to 1/4 inches, 6 centimeters, and then another one 2 centimeters below it. The gap will be 3/4 inch, and then just sew from the top to the marking, then from the marking to the bottom, and use the 1 centimeter seam allowance, 3/8 inch. So here you see the gap. I've sewn from top to the gap. I'm sorry, I'm not going to use that camera again. I'm sorry for all the issues. And here you have an opening in the lining fabric piece. See? And then you just turn this right side out and place it inside your main fabrics so the 2 fabrics are right sides together. Open up the seam allowance, fold it open, and put them on top of each other and secure everything with clips. And then you will sew the top edge with 1 centimeter seam allowance, 3/8 inch seam allowance. Now that it's sewn together, finger press or press with an iron the main fabric where the gap is. It will be easier to thread the cord through later if it's like pressed. And now we will pull out the lining piece, but do not turn it yet because we will make some boxed corners, and I will make some snips in the bottom seam allowance so that it's possible to open the seam allowance, to fold it open. And then we will fold like a triangle where the side seam is on the center on the bottom, and you fold this open, and then you will take a ruler and measure, like you draw a line, you align it on the mat so it's straight. This looks crooked, but it's straight. And then you measure 2 sides from the center to each side, so it's 3/4 inch. And it should have the same length from the center, otherwise it's not straight. So make sure that this line is straight, and repeat this on all 4 corners. You measure to the point where you have your 4 centimeters. From the center is 2 centimeters, 3/4 inch. Draw a line and take a clip to secure it. So when you've did this to all 4 corners, you need to sew the lines and then trim off the corners. Leave about half a centimeter of seam allowance, a little bit more than maybe 1/4 an inch. And then just cut off all 4 corners. And then you can turn your drawstring pouch right side out through the opening from the lining fabric. Now we will close the opening. You fold the seam allowance inwards and simply top stitch. Then put your lining fabric inside your main fabric and fold everything nicely, and I also suggested to give it a press, and then you will just top stitch the top edge. So when the top is top stitched, we need to sew the tunnel where our cord is gonna be, or our satin band, or whatever you like to use. So if it's pressed, if it's nice and flat, you just take your ruler and make the marking 4.5 centimeters from the top, or 1/3 from the top, right above where the opening is, and the next one just right underneath it. So my gap is 2 centimeters, 3/4 of inches. So my next line is 2 centimeters from the first line, so that you have a tunnel and a straight line. I suggest you to draw a line because I tried to just simply sew this by keeping my seam allowance and I couldn't hold it, and the line was just really crooked. So this wasn't a good look, so I rather draw a line with chalk. And since I don't have like a free arm, I turn my pouch wrong side out and stitch it from the inside because it's easier like that. And to make sure that the lining fabric won't be like twisted or wrinkly or whatever, I take some pins to secure it, to keep it where it should be. So now I've sewn these 2 rounds and I have created a tunnel for my cord. And then you just take your cord or bands, whatever you like, and put them on a safety pin. I have lost mine. I couldn't find any safety pins. So I've used this, what's the word in English? Büroklammer? And tied it on. It worked out fine. You get the point. But a safety pin is easier. And you thread it through one hole and pass it around the whole piece. And you need to exit the same hole where you came in. You need to exit there. Don't take this hole right here. Don't. It might be tricky to get past the seam allowance, but I've made this a lot quicker. So do not pull this out right here. Go to the beginning of your round, and there you're gonna exit. And then you just repeat this on the other side. Again, you have to make a full round with your cord or band. I know you're supposed to tie a knot at the end of the band, but I like to keep it that way because I wanted to make these pretty bows but it's totally up to you. You can use a cord stopper, you can use elastic cord, whatever you like. I just like the look of the bow and the gifting because this will be a gift for somebody, and it's a great alternative for gift wrapping paper because it's pretty wasteful, and but I mean it's also nice, right? We use it too, but some presents can be wrapped up in fabric as well. So I hope you find a way on how to gift your presents. I've provided you with another size as well, with 2 sizes, and you could also adjust, of course, if you need to wrap something bigger. Just add the width and the length that you need And so I tie a pretty bow and then I trim off like on a degree just for a pretty look. So it's totally up to you how you would like to finish your pouch. So I hope you liked all these projects and you find good use of them. This time I chose not to do something so complicated, but don't worry, the next tutorial is going to be complicated and advanced again. So have a great Christmas, great market seasons, and I hope to see you again soon.